So yesterday we were discussing about ergonomics. We discussed about Fitts law, discussed about reaction times, we discussed about workplace design, the importance of ergonomics. We will continue that. So what are the types of the human factors? Or if you want, I'll just flip through uh, very fast, rapidly, because many students were not present. Like we were discussing human factors, we discussed what is ergonomics, what are the ergonomics areas where it can be applied, and its major applications are in automobiles, and that too in vehicle assembly. We also discussed, medicinal factors, how important they are, how important is your posture, how the data is collected, uh, how the peoples or how the human beings are classified, then how to design, how the design can be human centered, what is hand done, what are the different characteristics and capabilities of the human, how they are related, how the reaction times are related to the human memory or to the brain. This is what is nothing but the data, how the data is collected and how it can be used to manufacture the equipments, how the equipments can be designed for visually impaired human beings, then how to calculate the force, like for example, uh, handbrake. So how it will differ from man to man. What is short-term memory? Of course, we can skip some slides that is purely related to the neuro. Uh, So that much is not important. How to measure the reaction time and how important it is reaction time. Like when you see the accident and you want to apply the brake, so how fast you can respond or how fast you can protect. That is nothing but the reaction time. Then there is a Fitts law, which is uh, given by Mr. Fitt, and it gives you the reaction time, and he has said that how does it depends upon the distance and the width. We also saw the Fitt's law for the hand movements, the hand pressures that is within reach, how the time can be calculated to pick up the components with your hand movements. So this data is also useful for your most. Then here, how can you read the speed in 1 second? So how this scale or how this dial can be designed so that you can read it comfortably. How the text, these are the designs of the different dials and how the text can be read very comfortably. And what are the three problem solving approaches? That is what we saw yesterday. Let's continue. What are the human factors or the types of the human factors? So that is some number one is descriptive, wherein you are giving importance to the parameters like sitting height, then strength, then posture. Then second factor is experimental, that is you are determining the relationship. Uh, So you have what are the effects of the variables uh, on a response or dependent measures. For example, like luminance, that is effect of light, how the light effects on the legibility. Like suppose if the light is low, then you cannot read. If the light is high, then there will be reflection. So what should be the proportion of the luminous intensity? What should be the exact luminous intensity? So that is again another factor. Then third
Sir,
factor,
a few
yeah.
students are waiting in waiting room.
Then third factor is evaluative, that is how to determine the acceptability, importance, and what are the preferences. And let me, that is how to evaluate, that this is a story like marketing engineer, he has, that is how the communication plays very important role, in workplace design, or in ergonomics. So this is what actually the customer wanted. He wanted a jhula, like this, with a tire, like a tire and with a hole. And this is what, in over a communication, this was communicated like this. And finally, the design was and like this. So marketing people, they communicated, then sales, then the engineering design, and then it was manufactured like this. And what the customer wanted this. So this is what an example of poor communication. Then analytic means based on the mathematical models, so this is more appropriate, but it is rather tedious. It is here you can suppose if you want to design a workplace, then you can do the analysis and you can calculate, what is the strength required, what is the time required. So based on the mathematical models, you can calculate. So these are more precise, and this has given birth to the most, that is Maynard operation sequence techniques. Like suppose if you talk about vehicle evaluation issues and different methods, so what and when to evaluate, then who should evaluate? That is whether experts should evaluate or customers should evaluate or whether employees, that is workers, should evaluate. Then what is the methods of data collection? Like whether you are going to only observe, how you are going to communicate, and then how to do the experimentation. And what is the type of the data, whether it is objective, whether it is subjective, and then you have to perform the experiment, you have to do the measurements. So these are the commonly used evaluation methods, that is structure, checklist, then task analysis, then you can do ratings, you can also uh, do the observations while performing a task. This is all required uh, whenever you want to design a workplace, uh, ergonomically designed workplace. So this is what the data is required before you design a workplace. So this, like say performance measurements. So what is the time required to complete the task? First you are observing, and then you are doing the improvements, and then you are making the workplace. Then you are designing the workplace. Then what are the hand and eye movements involved in an assembly? What are the number and types of error which can occur while doing the assembly? And what are the chances of accidents? So all these factors you have to study. All these factors you have to study. Then how to begin? how to begin. So you have the data of the human beings, you have the data of the populations, right? So you have like data in terms of age, in terms of their experience, their qualifications, what they want, what the operator want from a workplace design, right? How his eye, the position of the eyes, how his hands are located, all the visual characteristics, what is the time available, whether he is doing the assembly in daytime or in night time, what is the glare intensity of the light, whether is there any possibility of glare coming or not, then whether it is stationary or whether it is moving, like suppose if we have a moving conveyor, then it is dynamic, and static conveyor means what, the operator is stationary. In case of dynamic, the operator moves along with the conveyors and he performs the task. So this is slightly difficult, so that time your ergonomics design is a challenging task, right? in if you talk for automobile, then you have to study the driver, you have to study the vehicle, and you have to study the environment. Then what is the goal? The goal, what is the goal? Goal is to satisfy and finally the most, that is a large percentage of the peoples, like 95%, 99%. So this is what is nothing but the confidence level. That is 90% confidence level, 95% confidence level, 99% confidence level. And it is not possible to achieve 100% confidence level because there will be some errors. There will be some error, right? So a good ergonomically design, a good ergonomics design is based on the experience and the data. Data should not be a manipulated data. It should not be a manipulated data. The data has to be correct. If the data is manipulated, there are now softwares which can identify whether the data is manipulated or whether it is a real data, whether it is a fake data. Softwares are designed to identify. The- Some slides you can skip, like now ergonomically good or poor designs. So these are some examples. These are some examples. So this is this is for the um, instrument panel, or we call it the dashboard in case of automobiles. So what is a poor design? Like this is a very poor design. This is for the left and right. So how the good design and how the bad design should be. So these are some examples. This is another observation. Then there are different type of automotive displays, like analog displays, digital displays. Digital displays are better. It gives good accuracy, and uh, from visual point of view also it is very good. You can read it properly. If you talk about automobile, then what are the different controls that can be used? See how the peoples, they have studied. We just, for us, for the layman, it is just a push button. But push button, there are different type of push buttons. Like you have a momentary push button, you have a latching push button, that is it gets locked. You have touch button, you have radio push buttons, you have multi buttons mode selections, you have directional multi buttons. So like that, so many types of push buttons, and then depending upon the application and depending upon the need, you have to select. जैसे ऊपर से देखेगा तो लगता है कि ergonomics क्या है, it is not that easy है, but if you study in deep, uh, if you study in deep, it is really a very wonderful science, and if you analyze, if you apply mathematics, it is still very interesting. See, even how the smiley face can be programmed. So some slides I'll go quickly because it won't be useful from examination point of view. So this is all issues that engineer has to consider. Uh, the focus of this is mainly on automobile ergonomics. So important slides I'll pay more attention, like interior designs, the comfort. Like some vehicles, how discomfortable. Like suppose if you want to go for a long journey, then, it has to be very comfortable because when you are sitting for 10 hours, then it has to be a very comfortable. Sitting should be comfortable. Sitting should be enjoyable. This is what is your SUU concept is. This is there is a comparison of SUU with sedan. Yeah. So this is important. Anthropometry is important from your examination point of view. So what are the basic considerations in anthropometry? Biomechanics is not that important. Then you should understand the use of static and functional uh, anthropometry. Then you should understand postural and seating issues. What are the issues for a good posture or for a bad posture? Then the packaging practices are not that important. So this definition is very important. Anthropometry, it is a science of measurement of human body dimensions of different population. Of different populations means different categories. Like yesterday I explained, there are some people short, medium height, some are very tall, some are even 6 feet 6 inch tall. So this slide is very important. So it deals with the skeletal dimensions, contour dimensions, shape, area, volumes, center of gravity, and weights of the entire human body and the body segments. Like suppose if I ask you where the CG of the human body lies, so the CG of the human body lies at the navel. Okay, at the navel. So if you want to take a screenshot of this, there you can take it, and I'm going to upload this, so you can refer this or you can write it down. This slide number 69, very important. So it's the science of measurement of human body dimensions of different population, and what it deals with the skeletal dimensions, contour dimensions, shape, area, volumes, center of gravity, and weights of the entire human body and body segments. So let's just flip through this biomechanics, even though it is not important from your examination point of view. So biomechanics is a multidisciplinary science comprising mainly anthropometry, mechanics, where some part of anthropometry is there in biomechanics, then mechanics, then physiology and engineering of the mechanical structure and behavior of biological materials. So it primarily deals with dimensions, compositions, and mass properties of body segments, which we saw. That is a part of anthropometry. Then these joints linking the body segments, mobility of joints, the mechanical reactions of the body. So this is related to your biomechanics, right? Stresses, how to measure the stresses. And remember, stress measurement instruments are also there, because there will be hormonal changes when a particular you know human body is stressed. So you can measure the hormonal changes and you can measure the stresses. Uh, so then mobility of the joints, the mechanical reactions of the body to force fields, then voluntary body movements in applying the forces to external objects. So all this can be measured, can be studied. If possible, we will try to visit NITI labs. So that is what the definitions of your anthropometry and biomechanics. So biomechanics is mainly, taking care of the mechanics, and anthropometry takes care of the dimensions of the human body. So this is what is required, this anthropometry when you are designing the inside, sitting arrangements. So first you have to determine the user population, that is this vehicle, like say nano. Uh, So nano can be used by which population? So that is what is important. So you have to identify the market segment, identify the countries, as I told you yesterday, how the country, how the location plays an important role. Like European countries, there all the peoples are tall, 6 feet, whereas in India it is 5 feet 5 inches. The peoples there also they are hefty, they are heavy also, body also. Then whether male or female. Hmm. So all these are this identification of the population is very important before you go for the ergonomic design. Right. So people they have also studied the effect of age. This you can skip this pyramid. So what human anthropometric characteristics are needed for vehicle design, and not necessarily it is for the vehicle design. You can apply for other workplaces also. So this is just an example. Yeah, sorry, the connection was lost. Yeah, so we were discussing about these anthropometric characteristics, and not necessarily, I mean, many of these principles are applicable to other industries also. It's not necessary that it is only for the vehicle. But vehicle assembly line is very complex, so that's why this example is taken. And you can also give this example. So, what human anthropometric characteristics are needed for vehicle design and what data? So, you should know the status, okay, whether it is sitting position or whether it is standing position. Like the person is going to assemble or do the work in sitting condition or in standing condition, or maybe halfway standing sitting. Then what should be the height, what should be the eye location, what should be the reach distances, what should be the elbow to elbow width, hip width, shoulder width, the length of the feet, legs, arms, upper and lower, stomach depth, like some have the bigger stuff, tummy. Then what is the palm width, then finger dimension. See how in minute details the people's ergonomics engineers they are studying. The strength while the turning, pedal operations, hand grip, lifting strength. So all these are very important, yeah, when you are doing a workplace design. Like some steerings are very, earlier steerings were very hard. Then power steering. Power steering is very soft. Even the steering can be turned with the help of a finger also. So smooth. Sometimes the brakes also. Some brakes are very tight. Clutch very tight. So so this data is very important. Now anthropometry, that is static or traditional and functional. It is classified under two categories, that is static or functional. So static is measurements of the human body dimensions under static standardized postures. Okay. So basically it is standing and seated. In functional anthropometry, it is measurements of relevant dimension directly made on actual work poses. That is when he is actually doing the work. Like when you are doing the time study, when the time study is done, that is when he actually perform the work. So functional anthropometry means like when he is actually performing the work. So of course there will be problem for data collection. Uh, Human body dimensions and strength characteristics, they will change, depending upon the posture. Uh, it depends like how to apply the strength. So it depends upon the posture, what kind of posture you take. Like suppose if you are bending down, you cannot apply much force, but if you are standing, you will be able to apply the good force. So this is very dynamic, human body dimensions and strength characteristics. Why it is, why it is challenging? Because the forces will depend on the posture, what kind of posture you take. So this is your static anthropometric dimension. That is when you are in steady condition. Steady condition means if you are standing, if you are sitting. These are the anthropometric equipment. That is anthropometer. So these are helpful for taking the measurements. Anthropometer, like heights, width. Then percentile. The percentile is nothing but like first percentile or 25% or quarter percentile or semi percentile or 3/4 percentile. So that indicates how the distribution of the people are. This has been studies has been done even the countries wise also. So the purpose of anthropometry is to assure that products are suitable for the intended user populations. That is, whatever equipments you are going to design or you are going to make, that is your workplace or your chairs or whatever it is, that should serve the purpose and that should be suitable for the peoples to use. That is the main purpose. These are the classification of the body dimensions. You have to give some consideration in determining vehicle dimensions also, like how much is the space, how much is the clearance available, like so this is for the drivers, when he's sitting inside. Same is applicable for your workplace also, like suppose lock assembly line. So if you are assembling a lock, okay, so how much is the space available for assembling the lock? How much is the clearances from the back side or from the left hand side or from the right hand side? How much is the clearances down? So this is also required before you go for ergonomic design. See, like suppose if you want to open the outside door handle, okay. So where the position of the handle should be, whether it should be at a height of 36.1 inches or 28.4. So this will depend upon the locations also. Now this is for the female and this is for the male, and same thing is for your different countries also. Like if the peoples are very tall, majority of the people, like say 95% of the population in Europe, for them the height of the door handle will be at a height of or at a distance of 36.1 inches from the ground. So that is nearly almost it is 3 feet, 1 inch more than 3 feet. Lift gate, that is handle of the lift. We are not anyhow, we don't put the handles like अपना classroom का handles also, classroom का door handles. What will happen suppose if you put the handles very down? This is not a kids class. This is not a kids classroom, isn't it? They're all grown-up boys. So the handle should be preferably at a height of 3.5 feet, isn't it? But same, suppose if it is a kids classroom, the handle can be at lower places. Same आपका civil work also. Like suppose if you are designing your house interiors, so what should be the position of the your wash basin? What should be the position of the wash basin? So for this, the data matters. Anthropometric data matters. If the peoples are tall, European countries may, so obviously the wash basin the height will be maybe at a distance of 4 feet, isn't it? But for Indian, it will be at a height of 3 feet, right? Wash basins. Same thing for the electrical switches, the location of the. So these are all based on the data which has been collected. Data which has been collected. So you know that our body, it is made up of several joints, several joints. Like from tip of the finger to the elbows, if you consider, there will be almost 36 joints. One finger itself, there are one, two, and three joints in one finger. Any finger you take, there will be three joints. Okay, then you come, to the wrist, then come to the elbows, and see the degrees of freedom, in how many degrees of freedom it can move. So it's a wonderful robo. So more the joints and definitely more the complexity. It will create more and more problems. Right? So you should also consider the strength also, and you should also have a knowledge of levers. That is first lever, second lever, third lever. So where the force is applied, and where the fulcrum is, where the force is applied and where the fulcrum is. So this is the slightly strength of material or your mechanics. Just to make you aware, how the mathematics is related to the, or how the mathematics is useful for ergonomics. Normally we say, "Arey, maths kya is, why to study maths for 2 years or for 2.5 years, 5 semesters?" But it is really helpful. And of course, when you do your masters or when you do still PhD, so that time, so mathematical background is very much important. This is the strength endurance relationship. How there are, these are the factors which will affect the strength, like gender, age, posture, sitting, bending, standing, and of course, motivation also plays important role, or it's one of the important factors affecting the strength. Age has important role on the strength. So suppose a car is to be designed or a workplace is to be designed for young peoples or for the older peoples, then it makes a lot of difference. Like suppose if the peoples are older, then you may have some automatic, or you may have some pneumatic runners, you know, pneumatic runners. So because the older people, they cannot use spanner, for tightening the bolts. So if you provide them with the pneumatic runners, a lightweight pneumatic runner, lightweight, not heavyweight, so they can speed up the assembly process, or they can speed up the production process. Right? Shape of the vertical column, understanding posture. So as I said, this is your cervical region, means आपका जो neck का region है, lumbar region मतलब नीचे का आपका, and this is what is आपका mostly neck और lumbar के बीच में का portion we call as the back, and this is what I was talking about, disc. These are the vertebras. So your most important is your this L3, L4. So this is what is the cushion is. I don't remember the name of the fluid, but some cerebral fluid, something it is. So this disc, it allows for your jumping, sitting, bending, etc. This is not a single one piece. ये solid नहीं रहता है, solid नहीं रहता है. It is made up of ऐसा vertebras, and in between you have this disc. तो इसके बीच में ये fluid रहता है. So this is like you can consider like a rubber, or like a cushion. And आपका spinal cord जाता है इसमें से, spinal cord. So if this disc gets displayed and if it touches the spinal cord, then you get tremendous pains. Okay, so the task of the surgery is to again to scoop the protruding portion of the disc. But as I said, don't go for the surgery. The traction is the most effective. In the traction, what we do, we push this disc again back to its original position. Push means not we are not taking any hammer or pusher with the help of a traction. मतलब हम लोग स्ट्रेच करते हैं, स्ट्रेच मतलब जो लेग्स वगैरह है उसको वेट्स लगाते हैं पेशेंट को. You allow him to sleep at some inclined position and we stretch his body so that this displayed disc can occupy its original position. The pains हम लोग बोलते हैं ना slip disc is nothing but disc, and pains because of the disc touches the nervous cord and it gives you tremendous pain. It can happen at the back, it can happen at the lumbar region, and it can happen at the neck also. The only, as far as my experience, only way is go for a physiotherapy, go for the exercises. Don't go as far as possible. Avoid surgery. See, you should not sit continuously. See, whatever, of course, I am telling that is applicable for the population which is above 40, isn't it? Now, you being youngsters, you may not feel this, or you will not have, uh, you will not see this effect because you are young, at the age of 24, 25, 26, you see it. Anyhow, you can see it continuously, you can stand continuously, you can work for 16 hours a day because this is the age in which you have to work, in which you have to enjoy also, not only work. But at the same time, you should have good practices also. ऐसा नहीं है कि I'm young, so I will 24 hours I will be under alcohol. I will smoke. Nothing is going to happen. But its effect can be seen later. After 40. Sometimes I have seen youngsters. They are working. Without any food. Without any food. अरे कुछ नहीं होता है. Without any sleep, कुछ नहीं होता है. The people, some especially these IT people or I'm workaholic youngster, workaholic. This offline was sometimes better than online. Online, I have seen these MNCs, companies, and those who are working in ITs and business, meetings after meetings, just go 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the bedroom, and then they come out at 8 o'clock. And hardly they manage their lunch, etc. So imagine, if they don't have proper workplace, what will happen to their health. But what I was trying to tell that if you see what ergonomics says, that if you sit for half an hour, 30 minutes, actually in ideal condition, then you should stand for 2 minutes or 3 minutes, or if you sit for 1 hour, then you should stand for at least 5 minutes. That's a good ergonomics. That's a good, science. So don't continuously sit, don't continuously, stand. Because of the continuous standing, especially those who are teachers, working, teaching in the schools, colleges, they will face this problem, knee pains in the, of course, not when they are young, but when they cross 40. So these are all, 40 plus, it makes a lot of difference when you cross the age, when you are young. But that doesn't mean that you should not eat, you should not sleep, you should take proper rest. Because later on you will see or you will feel once you cross the 40. So now this, see how this ergonomically designed. This slide is also important, this, like when you are reading on, if you are doing the work in continuous sitting position. So this this is what is your L4 L5 region is, L4 L5. So your seat has to be ergonomically designed. See Godrej interior, that furniture design, chair design. So they again have ergonomic engineers. They have softwares. So if you provide convexity here, then this can give a support to this lumbar region proper. Again, this, see, upper say you don't feel, but see now here, this portion has to be, this portion has to be supported properly. So now what is happening here now, since this is your toe, yesterday I told that your toe should rest on the floor. Okay, toe should rest on the floor. So it doesn't matter if there is a slight gap here, but this should rest properly on the ground, properly on the ground. This is what is desirable. So when you are sitting on a table and chair, so your hand should rest on the table. At the same time, your toe, your feet head, na, that should also rest on the floor. That's a good ergonomically designed table and chair. No. Seat shape considerations. Mainly. So this is what is desirable. This is a human body. This is a vertebra. These are some, standards, just to make you aware, because most of the youngsters they like automobiles. Examination point of view, it has very less important, but yes, uh, academically you should know that something like this exists. So packaging is the term used in automobile industry to describe the activities involved in locating various systems. Powertrain. Powertrain मतलब आपका transmission system like engine, clutch, then gearbox, then differential, then your propeller shaft, and then your front axle, rear axle, then rear axle के बाद, no sorry, uh, engine, clutch, gearbox, propeller shaft, then your differential, then your rear axle, and then your wheels. So like that your powertrain is, or like that your transmission system is, right? Climate control systems, then fuel systems, right? So this is what is called as the vehicle packaging systems. See, vehicle package layout, vision lines, maximum reach. So it depends how the foot is, how the foot can be rested on the accelerator, where you get minimum reach, where you get maximum reach. Whatever the peoples who are sitting along with the riders, they should also be comfortable, isn't it? So this is the rear passenger ka foot. Sometimes the seats are designed in such a way that they can make an angle of 30-degree also. So the passengers, rear passengers, or the passengers with the riders uh, who are accompanying, they can sleep, they can take a rest. So you have some references because you have to follow some references, guidelines. Right? Your design or your manufacturing, if it conforms to some references, then only people will buy it. और then only, जैसे कि हमारा रहता है ना ISI अप्रूव्ड है these utensils किचन्स में, और सपोज आपका गीजर है, so if it is ISI approved or ISI stamped, then people do not hesitate to buy. So we understand that it will be tested properly and it follows the norms which has been laid down by the ISI. So the people do not hesitate to buy. So that's why whatever your designs or whatever your manufacturing or your quality should conform, so some standards, and these are the recommended standards. We say J82 three-dimensional reference system. See, these lanes, then widths, then heights, there are norms. There are norms by this standard, there are norms by this. Even RTOs also, like the width. Width of the vehicle should not exceed, 8 feet. Should not exceed 8 feet. There's a norm laid by the RTO or by this, uh, um, by these standards. It doesn't exceed 8 feet. You cannot have wider. But the lengthwise, yes, you can. These are the location of the steering wheels. how the motor vehicle dimensions can be calculated, can be designed. This is what is called the body of the vehicle. Of course, we do it now on the software, this drafting, okay, because it is faster. Earlier, we used to use the templates like this, for ergonomics. Even for the layouts, also we used to use a template. Like suppose I want to design a layout for say 6 machines, then I will make the template of each machine, and then I have a, I will make on a cardboard. I will design a space. So I'll mark on a cardboard. I'll mark the space, and then I will keep this. Suppose 6 machines. So 6 machine ka templates I'll keep. You know, but nowadays in AutoCAD or in software, it is very fast. So knee angle, ankle angle, pedal plane angle, steering wheels. I don't know. You may not have imagined. Uh, Entrance height. Entrance height. Hmm. Our some of our cars are such that even if the person is 5 feet 6 inch tall, while entering, आपको ऐसा लगता है कि आप कौन सा भी तो ऐसा केज में जा रहे हो, केज में, गुहा गुहा गुम्फा, केव, वी आर एंटरिंग इनटू द केव, ऐसा लगता है. Your belt height, your effective headroom, like leg room, when you are standing, when you want to come out of the car, आपका head है वो should not bang. And similarly, this
So,
elbow, shoulder room, yes, is it time?
yes,
Yeah, okay, okay, ठीक है, हाँ, I'll
so
back.
answer this. Please upload it
Yeah,
for that video.
hello,
Please upload this.
hello, I can't hear. Speak loudly, please.
Please upload.
Yeah,
Please
yeah, I'll
upload
upload.
it.
Yes, yes, yeah, I'll upload it today itself. Yesterday it was skipped out of my mind.
Okay.
I'll upload it. Okay, thank you. Thanks for reminding. Once I upload, you give the message. Huh? Maybe I'll do it in another 10 minutes. Huh?
Yes.
Shall I stop?
Yes, sir. We'll stop.
Thank you so much.